Good evening. Welcome to California Today. I'm Ling Zhang. Here is a preview of some of today's stories. The suspect who killed 7 in a Northern California seaside town on Monday is facing murder charges. The rest of the community is trying to recover and comfort each other. Oakland also experienced a deadly mass shooting late Monday. It left 1 dead and 7 others injured. 2 prominent California Democrats were nominated to serve on the House Intelligence Committee. But House Speaker McCarthy vows to keep them out of the committee for security reasons. An update on the recent shootings that took place in California. Authorities say the suspect used a lawfully owned gun in Half Moon Bay shooting. He will be charged for murder. The seaside community left flowers and made donations. They say this kind of violence is rare and devastating.
A prosecutor said Wednesday that 66-year-old Chun-Li Zhao will be charged with 7 counts of murder and 1 of attempted murder after a shooting on Monday. Community members were in shock on Tuesday after they learned of the news. Many of the victims are immigrant farm workers.
We are the neighbors with the worker, on the farm. I think they work and we sad for them.
At the farming nonprofit ALAS, which stands for Ayudando Latinos a Soñar, or Helping Latinos to Dream, the tragedy prompted an outpouring of donations. People dropped off bottled water and perishable food items. ALAS programs coordinator Sandra Sencion recalled being out in the surrounding farm area last month to celebrate the holidays with the farm workers.
It's devastating. I mean, we were just out at the farms last month, delivering tamales for our farm workers, recognizing them for their hard work, year round, and just trying to give them that recognition, right? It just feels like we were just there, and unfortunately, this just happened, and it's kind of the opposite, right? We were just celebrating and during the holiday season, and it's just, this is very unfortunate, very heartbreaking.
The attack was one of 2 back-to-back mass shootings in California that claimed 18 lives and horrified the nation. The other shooting was at a Los Angeles area dance hall where 11 people were killed during a Lunar New Year celebration. Authorities said both men each used a semi-automatic pistol when carrying out the attacks. The victims of both attacks came from immigrant communities. Zhao was arrested on Monday evening outside a sheriff's station shortly after the Half Moon Bay shootings, apparently to surrender. Carlos Aguilar Luis, a retired farm worker from Guanajuato, Mexico, worked in Half Moon Bay for 37 years. He says this is his first time seeing a shooting in the seaside town.
Shootings? No. Fighting between the workers and ranchers? Yeah. With a knife too. Just only once. That's the only thing that's happened. Nothing more.
And Antonio Perez, who works at a Latino grocery store in Half Moon Bay, went to the same school in Mexico as Marciano Martinez Jimenez, one of the victims.
Yeah, I know him. We're from the same town, the same place of origin. We're from Santiago Apostol de Oakland in Oaxaca. We're from the state of Oaxaca. With this tragedy, we never thought this would happen with our fellow countrymen. All the people here know him. He is a good boy. Never mess with anyone. He is very respectful with everyone. We don't know what the motive was for what happened in this tragedy with him. The truth is, we don't know anything about that.
As of Tuesday, authorities said they have yet to determine precisely what sparked either shooting. Circumstances surrounding the Half Moon Bay carnage pointed to some type of work-related disgruntlement.
A shootout at an Oakland gas station killed 1 person on Monday night. It was just hours after the mass shooting in Half Moon Bay.
According to a police statement, officers responded to the scene at a Valero gas station on MacArthur Boulevard just after 6 p.m. and learned that there had been a shooting between several people. The officers found shell casings but no victims. However, dispatchers learned several victims had taken themselves to local hospitals for treatment of gunshot wounds. One person died at a hospital, and the others were listed in stable condition.
At this time, we are aware of 8 gunshot wound victims, one of which unfortunately had succumbed to their injuries, while the remaining 7 are all listed in stable condition.
No arrests were made, and other details were not immediately released. The shootout took place only a few hours after a gunman killed 7 people at 2 locations on the outskirts of Half Moon Bay.
House Speaker Kevin McCarthy has long vowed to keep 2 prominent California Democrats from serving on the House Intelligence Committee. McCarthy said Representative Adam Schiff and Eric Swalwell would not be allowed on the panel if he won the gavel. Many were wondering if McCarthy will follow through on that promise after Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries nominated them on Saturday. McCarthy made the rejection official yesterday. NTD's Jeremy Sandberg has more on McCarthy's response.
House Speaker Kevin McCarthy says keeping Representatives Schiff and Swalwell off the Intelligence Committee is not a partisan issue. He calls it a matter of integrity in his response that went viral on Tuesday.
What Adam Schiff did, use his power as a chairman and lie to the American public. Even the Inspector General said it. When Devin Nunes put out a memo, he said it was false. When we had a laptop, he used it before an election to be politics and say that it was false and said it was the Russians. When he knew different, when he knew the intel.
The new House Speaker posted his rejection letter to Jeffries on Twitter. He emphasized his commitment of returning the committee to one of genuine honesty and credibility. He added that years of service are not the sole criteria to serve in such an essential role.
When a whistleblower came forward, he said he did not know the individual, even though his staff had met with him and set it up. So no, he does not have a right to sit on that.
Schiff vehemently denies knowing or ever meeting the whistleblower. McCarthy says Schiff will be allowed to serve on other committees.
But he will not serve on Intel because it goes to the national security of America. And I will always put them first, all right? And if you want to talk about Swalwell, let's talk about Swalwell, because you have not had the briefing that I had.
McCarthy went on to say that he and former House Speaker Nancy Pelosi were briefed by the FBI on Swalwell's ties to a Chinese spy, but not until Swalwell was appointed to the Intel Committee.
So it wasn't just us who were concerned about it. The FBI was concerned about putting a member of Congress on the Intel Committee that has the rights to see things that others don't because of his knowledge and relationship with a Chinese spy. They brought it to the works of the leaders. I've got that briefing. So I do not believe he should sit on that committee. And I believe there's 200 other Democrats that can serve on that committee.
McCarthy finished by saying he will respect voters and allow them to serve on other committees, but not where there are issues of national security. Swalwell called the move an act of political vengeance in response. Jeremy Sandberg, NTD News.
The San Diego City Council voted Tuesday to end the city's COVID-19 emergency declaration at the end of February. That includes the employee vaccine mandate. The emergency declaration has been in effect since March 17, 2020. The mandatory COVID-19 vaccination policy required city employees, elected officials, and volunteers to be fully vaccinated against COVID-19. The mandate was challenged in court by a citizens group called Reopen San Diego. It alleged that the mandate kept an entire category of individuals from meaningful participation in city government. The suit stated that it barred unvaccinated city officials and volunteers from attending city meetings or business in city buildings. We are going to take a short break, but here's a look at what we got for you when we come back. A new study found that living near airports increases lead levels in children's bodies. But the good news is that lead levels are much lower today compared to decades prior. Los Angeles is extending its recent protections from the COVID era. City officials say it will prevent renters from being unlawfully evicted, but landlords call the rules additional handcuffs. And will you be willing to try lab-grown meat served at local restaurants? A Berkeley-based food technology company received FDA approval to move ahead with its lab-grown product. That and more on California Today. Welcome back to California Today. I'm your host, Lang Zhang. A San Diego man was sentenced Tuesday to 13 years in federal prison for selling fentanyl-laced pills. The drug killed a 15-year-old high school sophomore.
22-year-old Kalar Jr. Tuan Beltranap pleaded guilty last July for selling a counterfeit oxycodone pill to a 15-year-old high school student. Identified as CJS in court documents, the Colorado High School sophomore was found dead on May 12, 2021, from acute fentanyl intoxication. According to prosecution sentencing documents, Beltranap told a friend of his that he wouldn't use Percocet pills, just sell them. The friend warned CJS to avoid Percocet pills because someone they knew had overdosed. Beltranap used Instagram to communicate with the victim before the drug deal. The day after the teen's death, police posed as CJS on Instagram to track down Beltranap and arrest him. Shelley Howe, a special agent with the U.S. Drug Enforcement Administration in San Diego, said, quote, "Drug dealers are using social media to target kids. Parents, be vigilant about checking your children's social media. It may save their life."
A new study from Colorado State University found that lead levels in the blood of children living near airports are higher due to the leaded gasoline used by aircrafts. But the good news is that lead levels are much lower today than in decades before. Lead levels in the blood of children living near airports are found to be higher due to the leaded gasoline of aircraft. That's according to a new study authored by Sammy Zarin from Colorado State University. According to the study, around 600 K-12 schools are located within 547 yards of airports, and 4 million Americans live near an airport. The study recorded 14,000 blood lead samples from children younger than 5 years old residing near the Reed-Hillview Airport in Santa Clara County, California. The study found that lead levels in the blood increased the closer the children lived to an airport and aircraft traffic. Lead is needed in aviation fuel for aircraft engines to function properly. The study claims that aviation gasoline is the primary lead emission source in the United States. But the good news is the lead levels in American children have significantly reduced in recent decades. This is due to the removal of lead from paints, plumbing pipes, food cans, and automobile gasoline. The Los Angeles City Council voted to make certain COVID-era rent protections permanent. But some landlords say the new rules are additional handcuffs for small rental property owners.
The Los Angeles City Council voted unanimously on January 20th to make some COVID-era rent protections permanent. The rent protections were set to expire February 1st. Council member Katie Yaroslavsky said, "The Los Angeles City Council just unanimously adopted several common-sense tenant protections that will protect thousands of Angelenos facing eviction. The new rules will give protections to renters living in residences built after 1978 and will go into effect after 6 months or when a lease is expired, whichever comes first. Under these rules, landlords cannot evict tenants unless there's unpaid rent or evidence of breaking lease rules. But small-scale landlords take issue with this new law. Diane Robertson, founding member of the Coalition of Small Rental Property Owners, told the Epoch Times, the council's vote adds, quote, additional handcuffs on small mom-and-pop landlords. Robertson added that there are so many of us who are strongly considering leaving the housing industry in Los Angeles. To be frank, if that happens, properties are going to be sold to corporate owners. That is not going to bode well for renters. Most renters in Los Angeles already have just cause protections. The council's vote just expands the number of households covered. The new provision also prevents landlords from evicting tenants who have prohibited pets and additional tenants not listed on the lease. This will be in effect until January 2024.
Lab-grown meat could be coming to some restaurants as early as this year. A Berkeley-based food technology company has obtained the green light from the FDA.
Lab-grown meat may soon be on the menu for some restaurants. Upside Foods, a Berkeley-based food technology company, received the go-ahead from the FDA in November to cultivate its chicken breast products.
It's a huge landmark decision for the field because it's the first time the FDA has ever approved cultivated meat in the world. And as pioneers of this field, we've been working with the FDA for about 4 years and working with them to develop a very rigorous pathway for safety. And the approval or the FDA green light means that FDA agrees with the vigorous and the thorough evaluation we've done and agrees that our product is safe for consumers to have. And we're waiting for it to come to market once USDA gives us a label and a grant of inspection to sell.
The United States, with its size and wealth, is the place where cultivated meat companies are focused. At Upside Foods, executives are hoping to have its products in restaurants this year and into grocery stores by 2028.
So the challenge right now in getting it into retail or supermarkets is production capacity. So we're going to start out with small production capacity, and we're going to start with the restaurants initially. But as we scale in the next 3 to 5 years, we want to be able to be in restaurants as well as retails, whether it's a Safeway or a Wegmans or a Tops. And that's really where I think most people will be able to access it as we scale.
There are obstacles Upside must overcome to reach shelves at the supermarket. To start selling to consumers, companies need to have enough funding to increase production and offer more affordable prices. For example, one necessary step is to build bioreactors at a size where meat can be produced at scale.
So cultivated meat is meat. Like I said, it's not a meat alternative. It's meat that's grown from real animal cells. So what we do is we take really high quality animal cells from, let's say, a cow or a pig or a chicken or a lobster, and we look for cells that can continue to grow outside the animal in a very robust and a healthy way.
To understand what lab-grown meat is and how it grows, Valetti gave a tour of its production floor and explained the process.
This is the earliest cells, the smallest possible vials. So as you can see, Michelle, she's removing some of the cell banks that we have with breeds of cells from the liquid nitrogen tank. We can store them in there for years or decades and not lose those cells. And we take them out from a little vial. There's multiple vials in that little box. They'll take those cells out, they'll thaw them out, and they'll grow them out in a very clean fashion.
Valetti went on explaining how the cells are then grown in bioreactors.
So these are what we call large vessels that hold our feed for the animal cells. So this is like a 6,000 liter vessel that is holding all the animal feed or the animal cell feed. It's going to have a mix of all nutrients. If you look in here, through here, you can see there's fluid in there, and there's mixed with nutrients like vitamins and minerals, oxygen, all of that is mixed in there. And that becomes the clean feed for the animal cells. Yeah, that's mixing all the nutrients evenly.
A challenge cultivated meat companies face is growing the production to produce large quantities of cultivated meat. According to the North American Meat Institute, the United States produced 106 million pounds of conventional meat and poultry in 2021. Upside's facility is able to produce 400,000 pounds of cultivated meat in a year. Another hurdle is the ick factor consumers have when hearing about the lab-produced meat. Upside will look to market their product for consumers who are looking for meat alternatives that are either greener, more environmentally friendly, or don't involve animal slaughter.
Well, it is meat, so it is chicken. It'll taste exactly as you would expect a chicken to taste. So the part that's remarkable about it is we didn't have to raise and slaughter a chicken to get real chicken meat out of it. And the part that's unremarkable is that it tastes like chicken. It's what we've been used to eating for thousands of years. And that's the unmistakable pioneering advantage of this field, because we're offering the choice to continue to eat real meat without giving it up or trying to become a vegetarian or a vegan.
A recently published study in the Journal of Environmental Psychology found 35% of meat eaters and 55% of vegetarians say it is disgusting to eat cultivated meat. But high-end chefs like Argentine Frances Malman and Spaniard Jose Andres have signed up to showcase the cultivated meats in their high-end eateries.
Now let's check in with NTD's Tylo Castillo for today's Sports Roundup.
I'm Tyler Castillo, taking you through the California Today Sports Roundup. Paul George scored 27 points and Kawhi Leonard added 25 points and 9 rebounds as the visiting Los Angeles Clippers continued their dominance over the rival Los Angeles Lakers. The Clippers won despite Lakers star LeBron James putting up 46 points, 2 off his season high, as well as 8 rebounds and 7 assists. LeBron James became the first player in NBA history to have 40-point game against every NBA franchise. He is now 177 points behind Kareem Abdul-Jabbar's all-time NBA leading point total. Clippers 133, Lakers 115. Domantas Sabonis recorded a triple-double and Sacramento took advantage of the absence of Ja Morant to pull away from Memphis on Monday night. In a matchup with defensive ace Jaren Jackson Jr., Sabonis recorded 14 points to complement game highs in rebounds and assists. His 6th triple-double of the season helped the Kings win for the 7th time in their last 8 games. The Grizzlies elected to give Morant a night off, citing a sore left ankle. Veteran Steven Adams also sat due to a sore right knee, leaving the Grizzlies short-handed as they attempted to end a 2-game losing streak. Kings 133, Grizzlies 100. Kevin Fiala scored at 109 of overtime to lift Los Angeles over host Philadelphia. Fiala also had an assist, while Anze Kopitar scored 2 goals and Samuel Fagemo contributed 1 goal for the Kings. Phoenix Copley made 28 saves. James Van Riemsdyk had 1 goal and 1 assist for the Flyers, who dropped their 3rd home game in a row. Kings 4, Flyers 3. Cam Fowler had 2 goals and an assist for Anaheim in a win at Arizona. Troy Terry had a goal and 2 assists. Frank Petrano had a goal and assist, and Anthony Stolarz made 37 saves for the Ducks, who are 2-2-1 on their current 6-game road trip. Connor Ingram made 38 saves for the Coyotes, who are trying to win 2 in a row for the first time this month. Ducks 5, Coyotes 2. Andrew Copp scored 25 seconds into overtime to give Detroit a home win over San Jose. Adam Erne and Michael Rasmussen also scored, and Ville Husso made 28 saves for Detroit, which earned its 2nd win in 3 games. Timo Meyer and Logan Couture scored. Erik Karlsson had 2 assists, and James Reimer stopped 32 shots for the Sharks, who have lost 3 in a row now. Red Wings 3, Sharks 2. And that's the Sports Roundup for today.
That's all we've got for you tonight. We'd like you to join us again on California Today every weekday at 8:30 p.m. Make sure to check out our broadcasts on our California Today webpage. You can find it at ntd.com/California-today. You can also find all of our top latest clips there, ready to share with friends and family. Send us a message on Twitter, Facebook, or Instagram, or through our email, california.today@ntd.com. I'm Ling Zhang. Have a wonderful evening.